Well, hey Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. In this episode, I'll be doing a review of the Gunpla known as the Gundam Zirius from the manga Mobile Suit Gundam 8. Yeah, so this is something that's not Universal Century, it's not even any related AU, this is something entirely new and different. It also has to do with kaiju, so let's see how cool it looks. Let's dive in. All right, and here we go. Let's take a look at this thing. Again, this is called the Gundam Zirius. It's got a very unique design. So this is a mainline Gundam of a new story called Mobile Suit Gundam 8. I did a little video on it talking about some of the lore and how this is, I guess it fights kaiju and it has these crystals on its back and it uses to attack. You know, lore and stuff is cool, but we're going to look at the mobile suit and the design of this. So there's a lot of like traditional Gundam stuff going on here with a little bit of the more modern like IBO, Witch from Mercury skeletal look. You could even say Reckon for Vengeance, but I think that's for a different reason. You know, it's very interesting. I like the look of this outside of Gundam specifically. I think that's why I decided to buy this model kit. I just think it has a really cool robot look to it. It has multiple areas for the weapons like the beam sabers. It has a cool crystal thing going on the back. It has the this backpack with multiple points of articulation. Let's actually take off the accessories and get a better look at it. All right, let's get a good look at this. You know, coming from the top of the head here with the yellow V fin and the shoulders, big shoulders, yellow thrusters. The joint around the shoulder is actually pretty interesting. It's like this little ball joint here that simply plugs into there. And while that's cool design-wise, it almost gives this an entry-grade feel. And that's a kind of a theme running out through this that I'll kind of point out as we go. But the arms do get a lot of range. I think it helps with that type of joint in there. You know, it's not too sturdy, but it allows a lot of easy, smooth movement. Doesn't seem like it's going to get loose easily. But you know what? I'm a big fan of this head design. There's something about it, you know, it has, you know, the classic yellow V-fin going on there, and it's big, like it's kind of big, but not too much. Even the face, it's like almost Zeta, but not too much Zeta. And I do like the gray on the side that sticks out. It's almost reminiscent of Wing Gundam, so it seems to have a combination of a lot of things going on here. But as for articulation, it is a bit limiting because of what's on the shoulders on both sides. I mean, you can play around with it, obviously, with how Gunpla works to kind of play around and try to get some range out of there. So it's not impossible. But again, nothing significant. This is kind of like basic, high grade, almost entry grade stuff. The joints down at the legs, kind of the same thing. We've got the skirts here that move. You can see the same type of joinery that's at the shoulder. You got a swivel here and like a little swivel joint that you pretty much make with a hinge. And the armor system on the front here is pretty interesting, and this actually just popped off. But I've noticed throughout this kit, even when building it, that it has some pretty interesting points to connect it. And I mean, I hope that kind of gives off, you know, like the shape and the form of this, because it's very interesting and cool looking Gunpla, that's for sure. And you know, waist, there's some rotation there. And then the legs, again, a very interesting knee. It was just like two pieces that kind of went together on the side. Looks like there's a lot of range here, but there's a lot that gets in the way. The feet are very interesting. How big like this pieces that goes around that. We've got multiple points of articulation around the toe and the heel here. Yep, and there's a little pivot there. So, you know, a lot of little micro points of articulation you can get to kind of get just the right look, although like the arm just came off easily there. But yeah, you would just have to work with it. Oh, and another piece popped off. So this kind of has the issues I have with a lot of Gunpla versus action figures is, you know, it might have a lot of good articulation, but pieces just tend to fall off. Okay, this backpack's pretty interesting. We've got these crystals on here. They seem to be in here. I'll look in the instructions to see if it does anything extra. But yeah, just kind of looking at these little pieces here, part of the binders, the thrust. It articulates, let's see, yeah, quite a bit. Looks like you can position it like that. For, you know, I haven't really looked through the manga other than actually it was a single issue maybe, the research I did for that, just getting the facts of the mobile suit. And it looked like, from what I saw, these things were like firing out everywhere. And I just don't know if it launches in a certain way or can come from anywhere. I like that though. I like it's like a Saikamu weapon, but in this universe. So again, another quick shot of this without all the weapons on, which is really not much. But just looking at the proportions, the scale of this thing, it just really looks cool. I dig it as just a robot. And real quick, here is the shield. You know, nothing much here. It looks like a Witch from Mercury shield. That's where, you know, some of these designs seem to be coming from. And it seems to have these like energy crystals are on the base of this to be used to attack, dig into the ground, whatever. It's got a connector point and a grip. And here's the rifle, which is, it's a really cool looking sci-fi rifle. I like it has that extra color here on the back, kind of give it some functionality of maybe that's where the ammo goes. But we could see inside, it might be hard to see actually, where's that crystal material from the other parts here. Also has some pieces in here for like the focus. Okay, yeah, where you can see the blue here and underneath in here. So I kind of like that. Oh yeah, and the sticker on the viewfinder right there, which there was a couple places on here that there were decals, so you can actually see most of them on the chest here. And they were really well done. Yeah, on the arm here, really well done. Nothing that gets in the way, and it just completes the look. All right, and so to compare real quick, let's get this thing standing. I've got, and on me, I only have the Gundam Universe version, so it's a little chonkier. But I was saying how it reminds me of the Witch from Mercury, the Ariel, more specifically. Again, this one's a little chonkier, but it had the proportions with the shoulders, the hips especially, they kind of share a lot of the same look. You know, especially we're seeing the yellow, red, and blue, the primary colors. But speaking of that, here's the original RX-78-2 Gundam. This is the Robot Spirits ver anime. Just kind of showing us off to show that, you know, Gundam Zirius is supposed to be the RX-78-2 of that story's universe. So what it's doing is taking the V-fin, which since Zeta with the Mark II, they tend to be yellow. That the yellow V-fins tend to be the popular thing now. Originally, it was white. But we have the primary colors. We have the yellow vents and everything. But yeah, this is just a modern take, a modern interpretation of that classic Gundam. And to be honest, I like this look. I would prefer something like this than what we got, for instance, with the Ariel. Although I do think the Ariel looks cool. It's just not as Gundam-y as some later suits that show up. And we've talked about that before, where sometimes the main Gundam suit as of late doesn't look as Gundam-y as some of the suits in other shows. I think IBO is an example. Speaking of IBO, we do see some of that design in here. IBO, Witch from Mercury, the skeletal look. But I think it works here. All right, and a quick look at the manual here, because I like to see the artwork. Like, it really looks cool as it's posed here standing. You know, in fact, I didn't do any panel lining or top coating, but from here I can kind of see it and it looks good. That might be my next move. But among the colored and black and white pages is the build here, which was actually a very simple build. It was actually very fun, very easy. Here's some other shots here, shown with the beam saber, the gun. It's the beam rifle, the EES Arms 001 beam rifle. And we have the Arms 501 shield. So really, there's not much to this Gunpla. You got the shield, you got the gun, you got the cool design, you got the crystals on the back, but it wasn't really priced that much anyway. I got it on P Bandai. I think you can get it used in other places. I just think this is a cool robot model kit design, but I think it could do for some more love. I mean, there's so much already going on here. You know, that would take away from doing custom work, right? Because it's really in this design, in my opinion. But I think there's some things that can be done. So wait, let me know what you think. Are you a fan of this Zirius Gunpla design, or a fan of the design in general that's in the manga, but also as a Gunpla? And I think that's where I got the interest in it, is just as a robot Gunpla to build a model kit. Just what it looks like is just cool with the crystals on the back and everything. So, all right, all, thanks for watching. Shout out to supporters that make this possible. If that's something you're interested in, check links in the description below. We also have a link to our Discord. We have a lot of fun there. But until next time, be cool.